we move on to the next session, which is going to be fast and furious. It's a session called Here's What COVID-19 Rewrote for Me. And we picked two speakers who's going to speak about this in 5 minutes each. First up, we have Eric Gnock, COO and co-founder from Klook. Eric, you're on. Your 5 minutes.
On the question of what has COVID-19 really challenged my thinking on, I would say two areas. One is before COVID, it's all about doing more for capturing more growth. And I think now it's changed to less is more. If you think about it, those people that are familiar with Klook, pre-COVID, our growth was driven by fast vertical and geographic expansion, while now we had to streamline our operations more, focused on the most important priorities. For some markets, we had to pivot and make bets on new segments, verticals, while we had to painfully sunset certain projects, knowing they won't be value adding in the near term. For example, Hong Kong, unfortunately, experiences is not as relevant in the domestic landscape, but we extended that experience theory into hotel, which we now call staycation. In places like Taiwan, Thailand, we had to build out our car rental to capture this new segment of growth, whereby people are aiming for FIT travel, but in a private setting, and that's where car rental came into place. The second area I would say is building global network effect, and now really focus on hyperlocal. So I'm sure most of us here in the travel segment have ongoingly heard about the term of global network effect that builds competitive edge for scaled up travel companies, which unfortunately is no longer as relevant in today's setting with borders closed. So we have to redesign our organizational structure to allow for more flexibility and speed to market geared towards stronger local economy. So that are two areas that really we had to change our mindset, our thinking to be able to cope with this new normal. On the second questions on how travel will be rewritten, I'll share my view in the lens of an OTA. I think it's clear that cross-border travel will remain non-existent in the near future. And even with travel bubble, it's going to be less compared to before in terms of the volume of people that's going to be traveling overseas in the near future. Instead, the main opportunity is going to be domestic travel. But what we believe is that the dynamics of domestic travel is very different from cross-border travel. So for us, the most outstanding difference is that demand for domestic tourism is a lot more spontaneous, while in the pre-COVID setting, travelers tend to do more pre-planning, right, for overseas travel. What this means for OTAs is that the playbook of capturing demand via search is no longer as relevant because locals are more familiar to their own country, hence less research is required. Instead, OTAs will need to reinvent themselves in generating demand rather than capturing demand, which actually plays to our strengths at Klook, right? As an experience booking platform, we've built our marketing engine around social and content that aims to inspire travelers to discover and book things to do. So with that strategy, very recently, we've launched our in-app Klook Live, and the results in the pilot markets have been extremely encouraging. We've seen significant uplift in conversion rate of the experiences that we were featuring during the live show. It's a new way of marketing that allow our merchant partners to sell the experience in a much more engaging ways, right? Answering questions live from the viewers. This type of highly engaging marketing tactics actually isn't very new to us at Klook. At WiT, you guys have actually covered how we've reinvented offline travel fair into what we call at Klook traveltainment, which was hugely successful. So we see Klook Live is a natural extension of traveltainment, but allow us to scale much faster versus if we were to do it offline, there's a limit to how many people can actually join that travel fair and a limit to how many people we can actually engage when it's in person. But on the digital platform and in the live setting, we allow us to scale exponentially such type of marketing tactic. So in summary, I would say that companies need to now focus on innovative ways to inspire and generate demand rather than capturing demand, which was the playbook of, I would say, quote unquote, the traditional OTAs. So that's my sharing. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. I mean, fantastic points, right? I mean, it really plays to the point where we talked about this morning, where you see the blurring of lines between an OTA and entertainment and the breakout of live streaming. And actually at WiT, we were offering Klook live experiences. We had the heritage tour, and then we had the private Klong tour as well. And it was very engaging, actually, with the live Q&A at the end. So definitely a new way forward.